Rage
up?
Against the Machine.
Wow, you don't know how many times I've heard that in my
Oh, so
lifetime.
I'm not I'm not original.
There's only a handful of people. See, that goes to show how long I've known Dae. That no one knows me from that handle unless they met me in music.
Yep. That's it.
So I told Dallas, he was like, tell me about Rage. I'm like, he dope. I know him from music. He was the engineer that we like crossed over around the same time.
You crossed over to the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, they beat me to that. Cameron wasn't even in my repertoire at that time. Like,
say repertoire again, please.
No, think about it.
Repertoire.
You was there already. Remember? Anyway, tell your story, then we'll talk about it. Tell your story. We want to know about you. Tell them the beginning, the origin. How did you get into photography?
So the first question is, I want that book behind you. I think I own it, don't I?
The Herberts?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you own it. Yeah. This is my obsession. You know, when you guys were talking yesterday, I'm like, I'm the same way. Like I'm booked out. Like,
We need to get a bookshelf. Our books are all over the house.
All over. It's a lot.
And second of all, like I'm sad that I missed it, but I didn't know that I was following up Albert Watson. I mean, listen, you guys gotta prepare me for that, because the way your reaction, Dallas, is literally my reaction. Like if I'm in front of him, I'm not making eye contact. I'm like, exactly. No, he's literally my top tier.
My skirt was wet.
Oh, listen, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all.
My skirt was wet.
Tell us,
who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
So I'm a kid that grew up in the Bronx, late 80s, 90s, and fell in love with, music was always part of my life. My parents were such a eclectic sense. I was just talking to somebody the other day about a coffee table on Saturdays would be like Bob Marley, Hall & Oates, Meatloaf, Barbra Streisand. So it's like I was blessed to be in a household that was just filled with music, and that's just all. Anything we did, I can name a song and I can remember something that was happening.
Remember a moment, yeah.
Yeah. So that was my life, and then hip hop grabbed hold of me at some point, and next thing I know, I was probably Dae doesn't know this. I was an MC at a point. Used to rhyme, and then somehow that trickled into, and he knows how this goes. Once you're doing one thing, it trickles into the next. So then I met producers, and I was like mesmerized by what they could do with like samples. I was like, I need to learn that. He's like, get a drum machine, I'll teach you. Then that became the thing, and put the mic down, and next thing I had these beats, and they didn't sound like what I heard in my head. So I went to audio engineering school after I finished my business degree, and the next thing I know, I had a studio in Westchester. You know, I was just obsessed with it. The obsession, we're creative. So we know when we're locked in, we're locked in. That's like, you know, I don't have a girlfriend, I have a studio. I don't have a girlfriend, I have a photo career. So so all of my money went into that. And I think the time when I met Dae, I come across this artist, Avery Storm, his manager. We just needed a place to needed a place to record some stuff. And you know, I've been working a full-time job, I still do, for the past 21 years. And I was able to I could put whatever funds towards what I loved. And I loved that because I didn't have to take assignments I didn't want to, mess with, Right. So do it, this artist needed some work on a mixtape, and I loved having the studio as just a place for creatives to come together. So I'd have musicians and producers and artists, and a lot of times there was no money exchange. We just were jamming out. It really wasn't like that complicated. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned to me that they had this production team in Jersey that was going to do some beats for him, and it was called the Classics. And I was like, oh, that name's cool. And Dae and Mike showed up. And it was great because everybody in that room, our energies were like, there was no ego in the room
at all.
Not even with Mike?
No.
I heard stuff later in the room. There was no ego in the room, but but like what was crazy is that they opened up and started playing this music, and I'm looking at them like, yeah, sure you don't want to have a little ego in here because this stuff sounds crazy, like there was this very talented. I was blessed to have met them at an early age, and so they were already doing stuff creatively. They were, they were showing me the project they did with all these different talents from Jersey. I think Michael B. Jordan was in it, and so they were already in it, and that fell in my lap because I was working with an artist that was signed to Bad Boy, and we were doing all these tours and these intimate events backstage, and I'm like, why is no one documenting this? So I went and just decided to pick up a power shot. It was literally for the function. It wasn't for
a
Canon power shot. I swear on everything. I still have it. I think it's a G9 actually.
I
G9.
think I have a G9 collecting.
Yeah, you have to have it.
I took mine out to tell people it's not about the equipment, it's about the person. I did a whole complete beauty photo shoot with the G9 and nobody knew.
Right. No. I mean, and then later on you get into understanding, like I didn't understand lighting. I didn't know anything. I didn't know my ISO from my f-stops, aperture, anything, and then we had an opportunity to go to Japan, and I was like, well, maybe I need to invest in an SLR because I never know if I'm going to do this again. And I bought a Nikon D90. That was the first SLR I had, and took some pictures in Japan, came back. I think we had a shoot or a video shoot with Fabulous, and a friend of mine was working at Vibe at the time, and she just was, hey, let me just see the photos you have. Sent it to her, and she's like, oh, these are cool. Could we run it? And I was like, I don't know what run means. What do you, like, what do you, So she's like, no, we're going to put it online. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I remember she hit me and was like, go check out the website. And I saw my images and I saw my name, and when I say I was hooked, I was done. Like,
that was it.
It was
that was it. It was done. It was, and Dae knows the studio I had. It wasn't like light equipment in there. I spent.
He had the boards.
He had a gear room.
Tons of microphones.
3 keyboards, drum. Yep. It was
decked.
So for me to hang that up, Dallas, like. It wasn't a regular addiction. It was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that just turned into me doing whatever I had to do to further that. I was like, what is this feeling? And I started getting myself to go to shows.
It was an addiction. It was an addiction.
Oh, Dallas. Today. So I was telling. I got contacted with Vibe, and then the photo editor was like, no, we don't hire photographers anymore. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna take the photos and just send it to you. And they were like, okay, whatever. And I would just go to the show, Dallas, and just shoot it. And then it would be in their email in the morning. They're like, what's this? They're like, how'd you get backstage? I'm like, I'm telling you, I know people. I could just shoot this stuff. You guys just post it. And that started being the thing. And I was just addicted to like, wow, this show happened. I know I can shoot these images. I can get it up there. And
it's funny because I've had a career throughout everything. And I used to model. I used to do all this stuff. I used to be a gym trainer, all this stuff. So people would look at my body now and say, you couldn't have been in the gym. I say, yes, because all I did was change my addiction. I put the weights down.
Same
and
here.
I picked up the camera. So no matter, I was in the music too. So when I was in the music, I was heavy into it. And then something changed the addiction. So the addiction,
this don't sound good.
But it
doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good.
Addiction infuse your artistry.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
I used to.
So now I'm looking like this. Yeah, I'm looking like this. It's like, what is wrong with you? I'm addicted to my camera. I'm addicted to photography. I'm addicted to the art. And you have to tell people they don't. And when you're not an artist, it's hard to have that conversation with someone who isn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're up late at night. We're doing all the unhealthy things.
I went to bed at 5 a.m.
The only thing we don't have in front of us is cocaine.
Absolutely.
That's the only difference.
We're good on that.
And so when you're with somebody, like you're married to someone, or you have a relationship with someone who's not that way, they don't understand.
They don't get it.
They don't.
Yeah. No.
So,
No. And it's funny that you said it. It's funny that you said it that way because I was saying when I started, I'm glad I wasn't in a relationship because I was on YouTube until 3 a.m. watching like Peter Lindbergh documentaries, and like I used to fall asleep and you wake up like, oh man, I got to bring it back, and it's like,
exactly. And on your keyboard, there's a bunch of Z's because you fell asleep on the keyboard, so you got Z's all on the screen.
No, it's. But you know what? I love it. I relish even us speaking about it now. Like I think about that time, and nothing was better than getting better. In that process, nothing was better than any. I mean, Dae know I didn't understand lighting. I had Dae helping me with lighting. I just wanted to, yeah, it was.
I got to claim something you said. I'm going to throw him under the bus.
Oh.
Under the bus.
Uh,
You going to throw you under the bus, or I'm going to throw you under the bus?
Explain.
Yeah,
So,
explain.
What happened was, I was like, Rage is like my mentor. I was like, so I was like, he's like
Wow.
my mentor. So I was like, because he was doing Vibe, because I remember we was sitting there struggling at the Tiana Taylor shoot, trying to figure out the light.
Struggling. Her first cover shoot, mind you, struggling.
But listen, hold on. What I say is this: when we were in there, nobody knew it.
No.
Nobody knew it. So I was like, yeah, but I kind of helped Rage with, like, I was like, he's not gonna say that. So he was like, you should say. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna say that either.
Oh no.
Like, let him get.
Oh no.
So,
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't. No, I don't mind. I give credit. I didn't get here by myself.
Yeah.
None of us did.
Rage,
No.
We were sitting there and we talked. We always talk about like how you come up. They were like, oh, I learned by
I'm
myself.
self-taught. Like,
I'm like, listen,
No.
I didn't know what I was doing for a long time. I was like, Rage. It was like you, like my first mentor. Ben from Jersey was like another mentor to me. And then I met Dallas, and it was like, okay.
and he met me. And he said, "Fuck the rest of y'all."
Nope.
No, I mean, listen. I remember I met you, Dallas, at it was a by any means party.
By any means, right?
Yes,
Right.
yeah. You guys were DJing. The classes were DJing. So I remember. I knew when I was like, oh, it's a wrap. I was like, that's it. Dae's gone because he was still like, I want to do graphics and whatever, and I'm like, no, it's over. Like the minute I just knew, and it was great to see because everybody gets there in different ways. Like I'm self-obsessed. I'm self-taught, but I'm self-obsessed. So I have a string of mentors. I'll run down the list of everyone who's been helpful to me.
All those things.
I'll start here. So I think.
Wait, don't miss me yet. Let's start with your first.
Let's start with
you and Vibe.
Oh.
Go with you first.
So okay, boom. I know we have an hour restraint, right? Something like that.
Yep.
So let me. Okay, so I'm at Vibe. I'm doing this stuff. I'm trying to fit in anywhere because at this point, Getty Image has everything on lock. They're not hiring photographers. They're like, we don't want to deal with a budget for a photographer. And I'm like, listen, guys, and I don't recommend the shooting for free thing, but this is the level that I was like, I just want to get in. I just want to do this thing. And I think they had a Vibe Vixen, which was like a fledgling, like they weren't putting any money in it. And I was like, listen, let me get this. And Daytwan Thomas, who is like my big brother, gave me the first shot and allowed me to shoot an artist and mess up what I needed to mess up and learn from that. And it was Vixen. So it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like I messed up a Vibe shoot. It was like, okay, cool. All right, now next time I know to do that, and just trial and error. And I'm grateful to have had that place to stumble because I didn't have a place to stumble, And I think my first set of lights I bought, I asked a mentor, his name was Sharif. He just told me to buy 2,000 watt mono lights, and I'm setting them up and we're trying to move them around. And I think they were Hensel lights. They weren't even pro photo because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, and you're just figuring it out. But it's as much as it sounds chaotic, and I'm sure I was sweating for most of the shoots.
Yes, you were.
I'm
telling you, yes.
I miss those days.
Well, I remember you in panic, but we were very much like, all right, so what are you gonna do? You gonna move over there?
Yeah.
So
I was a little huddle, like, I don't know. So we're gonna move it over here, and like, they're like, you guys ready? Just two more seconds. Right? Yeah.
Well, let me explain something to you. When you were doing this, believe it or not, the photos were amazing. It was like, oh shit.
And I know that both of you know that you saying that and how I feel about my photos are two different things because I don't feel that about.
Oh please.
And
I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I literally, at that moment, at that time, I remember feeling in complete awe, like, yo, he's doing it. He's doing it. This look good. All right, cool. We ain't messing up. It look good. It look professional. We're good. Nobody knows. Anything. The photos look rocking, and you was in complete control over the room. I remember they were doing everything, looking at clothes. You're like, no, we gonna do it over here. And I'm like, okay, this is dope. And I remember looking at the images like, oh my God, I wish I shot this. It was so incredible. I still look at those images and I'm still they still look good to me.
Wow.
Still a
I,
bit for me.
you know what? I'll take it. I will take it. Listen. I'm grateful that you were in the room. I had Tiff Hasborn, who's like now she's wardrobe designer for like big movies and stuff. She's the new Michael B. Jordan. She did the wardrobe for that. Yeah,
Nice.
and that's a big sister to me. So she was styling the shoot. I brought her on a Vixen. So it was like I had family there. So
Yeah.
that was what kept me anchored with the anxiety that was going on. But yeah, so the vibe thing led to I kept shooting shows, and a friend of mine walked me into Hot 97 because I had shot one of their summer jams. Somehow I think I paid for the press access. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think I paid somebody for press access to Summer Jam just so that I could shoot it. And I shot the images. And the next year, my friend she's like, you have to meet the head of digital. And he brought me in. And he was like, we didn't hire you to do this. Like, these are great. Like, these are better than some of the shots that we got from the guys that we brought on. And that was the first time that I really got brought into Hot to shoot Summer Jam. And I decided I was going to volunteer to shoot all the shows. I was like, what happens to your SOB shows? And they're like, nobody wants to shoot those. They just want Summer Jam. I said, no, I'll shoot them. And helped kind of garner a relationship that allowed me to have a little wiggle room to create opportunities. So I saw that Danny Clinch was doing these Grammy portraits, which was messing my head up because I was like, you have Summer Jam and you have this roster of artists, and the live images are great, but you're not going to try to document portraits. So I said to them, listen, if you give me an area in MetLife Stadium, I'll pay for the shoot. I'll set up everything. Just let me shoot these artists. You just have to help direct them. I think they gave me like a little closet. It was the first area.
And sometimes that's all you need.
And that's all I think I might have spent like maybe $1,500, $2,000 between renting gear and whatever. And I had like assistants, and it was a closet, I promise you. And I got Kendrick Lamar, Miguel, the majority of Wu-Tang, A$AP Rocky. It was just like,
it was the who's who, right?
And all I had to do was believe in that and fund it. And when they saw the images, it's like, I know I have a marketing background. Their marketing was like, oh, so we could have used this for something else. I'm like, that
was the game plan.
So wait, hold on. Let me explain. Hold on before you go forward. In the meantime, I'm watching him transform, and I'm like, oh, he's shooting. Remember, I love Vibe too.
Right.
He's shooting. He had 97. He had Vibe. Remember, I'm full hip hop. This is why I got into it because of this stuff. And I'm watching you shoot all the legends. I'm watching him like kill it, and the images look so classic.
And on the other side, Albert Watson's is shooting him as well.
Absolutely. And back then, I'm dying because I'm like, I really, really, really wanted to get. I was getting into photography because of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, he got 197. He got 197. You up there, you know these people. And I'm looking at Rage like, yo, you out of here. He's done. I can't talk to him no more. I don't want to text him.
No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No.
It was this complete. I was in awe because I was like, everything that I got into photography for, he was doing it, and I'm like, and I know him. So you were like okay, he's doing it, I can do it. I can do it. He's doing it, I can do it. Okay, cool. I know him. I know his struggle. I understand where he come from. If he's doing it, I can do it. So you were like really inspiring me at that time. But keep going. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I appreciate, again, we're gonna go back to the addiction. So like, you're on the outside looking. I'm just like, I'm addicted. It's the next line. I'm just like the next. So I had, so at this time I get to meet. So I met Jonathan Mannion. He and I become very good friends, and I'm at a studio. I'm asking him, you know how it is. You sit down and you take out a notebook and, laundry list of questions. And I'm grateful that he didn't shoo me away, because I was just like, you know, I wanted to know everything. And it was as far as hip hop was concerned, this was the guy.
He
Like,
had it on lock. Yes.
Yes.
this is, I mean, you know,
Legend.
so I just asked all kind of questions. I asked him about, I mean, I learned about rights, ownership, copyright, licensing. So I was fortunate to get that information beforehand. So when I did the situation with Hot, it was a handshake. I didn't do any contract. I said, I'm going to own the images. I'm going to allow you to use it for promotional use. To allow me to own it, but I would have never put myself.
You would have just gave it all away.
Yeah, and I would have never had the amount of people coming to me on my own. So I knew it was a win-win, but I just had to make sure that it balanced out. And again, this is all from me going to marketing school and understanding how that works and how products work. And
because a lot of our people do it backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm fighting to teach them what licensing is.
Yeah.
And I fight them. So I understand. So you went about it the right way.
Mm-hmm. And I'm down to help you with that because I'm all about that information, because that's the thing, especially Black photographers. A lot of us don't have that information. And again, Jonathan Mannion, coming from where he's from, he already that was regular information to him. Like, you know, no, you own that, and you have the leverage when you walk in the room. You have that confidence.
And that's the lesson I
artist.
try to teach them. I go through that at least once a day.
Yeah.
At least once a day. So let's talk about how your style developed over the years and who influenced you.
I would say early on, since a lot of this stuff started with live photography, when it comes to live photography, I'm not sure who it was. I just know I was obsessed with the way the images looked in Rolling Stone when I was shooting shows, and the fact that I was there and it was the best seat in the house to be in front of the stage. I was just like, this is insane. But I didn't have a direct interaction with them, so I'd shoot them, and then later on I'm like, oh, I shot your show, but they don't know me from Adam, and I didn't like that, you know, that feeling of just like, okay, well,
it was disconnected.
It's completely disconnected because I'm in a pit with 20 other photographers, you know.
Right.
And it also doesn't, not that your image isn't special, because I don't want anyone to feel like their image isn't, but you're there and it's 19 perspectives of the same event. So it's kind of like it changes it. But I was obsessed with editorial, and I said, it was the big elephant lighting. It seemed very intimidating, but I like challenges. So I just started off asking the questions, and I'm like, I'm going to dive into it. And however long it takes, I'm going to get to that level of being an editorial photographer, working with my subjects and making sure that I have an experience with them. So that vibe was very much that. Hot 97 went from being a summer jam portrait series that I funded for, I think 3 or 4 years. I funded by myself before they figured out how to bring in a sponsor to take it on. But then I said to them, you know, we have so many more people coming in during the regular months. I said, you're paying Getty for images when you do interviews. I'm like, well, why would you pay for images of someone that's there for an interview? Why don't you let me come in, do a setup? We'll have the same arrangement. I'll allow you to use it for promotional, and I'll keep my images. So that turned into shooting everyone from 50 Cent to J-Lo, you know, and owning those images. But, you know, my style, actually, I tried my best to stay with, Albert Watson is it. We already covered that. That's it. No one else. I mean, everybody else is in their own rights, but Albert is still like,
he's the GOAT.
I'm inspired every day by him. But because it was such a small window, I'd get like 3 to 5 minutes with each person because it would be squeezed in.
People think that it's glamorous shooting celebrities, or they'll tell you. There was one time I had to do a shoot for somebody, and I was like, oh, if I had a moment, I'd have lit it like this. I said, but you got 4 minutes.
You don't have that.
You got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Your bulb just went out on you.
You got 4 minutes, and I'm taking 1 minute to light him to make sure I got the light right. So now I got 3 minutes.
So we tell people all the time, it's not what it looks. It's not what it looks like.
No. And what was interesting is I didn't have an assistant, so I had to learn how to set up my backdrop, test with an Apple box. and it had to be the simple one light, maybe two lights if I had a little extra time
if
to
you had
set
a
up.
moment, right?
Yeah, and then even that you didn't want to chance it because you're like, if it didn't work out, you're like, this didn't.
You can't say, "Give me 5 minutes to figure this out."
No.
But in the meantime, it looked effortless. To the outside looking, from the outside looking in, it looked like, oh man, my man killing it. It looks phenomenal. I didn't know what you know about it, about the celebrity thing. I didn't find that out until I moved to LA. But it just looked effortless. It was like, he out of here.
Man,
he just shot Bob. He just shot. He's out here. All the stuff out on himself. It just looked so. I was just like, bruh, like he's killing it. It just looked effortless.
but those moments teach you so much, Day. Like I won't even lie to you. I think I shot J-Lo in 2019, and the battery on the Pocket Wizard died.
That's what it will do.
And I was like, and his assistant's behind my ear, and she's like, and I was like, all right, cool. But I knew, I was like, all right, there's a full battery in there. If I flip it and use one of the new ones in here with the dead one in here, and it was like, the guy was like, you recovered extremely well. Because she had the 2 seconds. But again, if we don't go through those moments,
yeah,
like that's really what it is.
Lesson, you check all your batteries before you do anything.
Absolutely.
And you know what, Dallas, I had the batteries. It was on top of my Pelican case. I just, the rush, you're like, oh. It was too far to get to, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Because what I do with this one, whenever we have shoots, it's the night before, get everything together.
Oh,
so it's a whole ceremony.
On the carpet, it'll be like, okay, like we pick. If you got cameras, don't look at the light. If you got light, don't look at the camera. So it's like, okay, that's it. Gotta. Where's this?
So every time we have a shoot, if I do the lights, I take all the lights out and I check each one. I check. It's like, well, you keep doing that because it's going to happen at the shoot one day. You're gonna flip that light and the light's going to blow. The flash is going to be dead. But you need to know before you get there.
Yeah, or we get there and the model lamp is dead. And it's like, what is wrong? Oh, I think the light blew. It's like, oh man, all right, let's get it.
And they said, did you check this out before you got there? No, I missed to check it.
So yeah, I did tons of things.
He still forget batteries sometimes. He still forgets to charge. So every night it's like, did you charge the batteries?
I'm like, no, man, I ain't use it like that.
And then the battery be dead. It's like,
well, whatever. They got to.
And it sounds obsessive, but it's like talent is such a small percentage of it. Your recovery time, your ability to think quick on your feet,
troubleshoot on your feet.
Absolutely.
And so and I'll get to that later on because that ended up being probably the best lesson for me was my practice was shooting celebrities at hot. And, it could be a Dave Chappelle, it could be a Chris Rock, but, their PR is like, yeah, we said 5 minutes, they got 2 minutes. And I'm like, this idea that I thought I was going to have and the angles, and it's done. They're like, I had one, I think John Leguizamo's person was like 30 seconds. I said, 30? What? What am I going to do with 30 seconds? And she's like, I'm like, listen, he's like, listen, no, you can, and then you know how it is. You keep pushing until that talent tells you. Like,
have you ever been to the point you're actually physically shooting them as they're walking out the fucking door? I've been like this.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been there. So people don't. And what's so funny? When you go back and you think about those moments, I would never change it.
Never.
Change it.
I would never change it. And nobody knows that. So when we do like the commercial shoots and the big brands and the beauty, that's the easy shit. Easy.
Oh, what? Like I had the Matthew McConaughey thing was 3 days. I was like, oh, we're here. I'm fine. Like, no, nothing. And that's why I say that while those things, and like Albert Watson was saying about the rungs on the ladder, like I love when he mentioned that, because that's really what it is. It's only what's in front of you. Like
absolutely.
I didn't think about the next thing, but it all prepared me.
It prepares you for the next thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would never train it. My scars are what makes me potent today, or
so
relevant.
What was one of the biggest lessons that you've gotten on this journey so far that you would pass on to the younger Karl?
Be more diligent about backing up your stuff.
That doesn't sound good at all.
Oh, no. I mean, ripping and running around, and 2018 was probably my most busy year, and I was on a shoot and coming from LA. Luckily, I had the client stuff on a separate hard drive, but like, I don't know. I brought my main hard drive because I was away in LA for a couple of days, and I'm like, all right, well, in case somebody hits me while I'm away.
And they need something while you're there.
Which was not, I should not have even been thinking
It
about
should have
that.
been in the moment, right?
Man, they did one of those like random bag checks. I had my monolight on, a carry-on. I'm like, it's a light. They're like, where you going? I'm like, New York. It's, the whole, so they're pulling stuff out of my bag. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm rushing now to my flight. And I checked everything, thinking everything was there. And the hard drive somehow did not end up back in my bag.
Ugh.
And the majority of stuff I had backed up, but there was some key celebrities it's just gone. And that was a hard thing because I think it probably took me, I want to say realistically, it probably took me about 6 months to really get over it. Because it's like, it's an error on my part because I need to, you are your only advocate. You have to make sure that you protect your stuff. And that ripping and running around was great. I'm getting it done, but because I was going so fast and not taking the necessary steps, compromised having work that I know I worked hard for. So learning that, it was a hard lesson to learn, but
he's my second eye, like I'm his second eye.
Which is great to have.
Because it's always a stop. Because in that moment, we're about to run for a plane. I go, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Check these things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take care of this, I don't have to worry about it.
It makes
I
it
take care
easier.
of this.
You one person, you got all these things. So it's like me. I got the lights. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Got.
So if he has the lights, I don't have to worry about it.
I don't
and I get to scream at him when he fucks up.
I never fuck up. I'm not listening. I'm started. So tell us more. I want to hear about the variety shoot. I want to hear about the shoot with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, you mean the Hollywood Reporter, the Chris Rock?
Sorry, not variety.
So what ended up happening with the stuff with Hot is that I ended up building a reputation for making very impossible things happen, and it's for instance, for like Essence Fest, one of my good friends, she's a photo editor there, and she was like, listen, I'm bringing you on. We don't know what's going on backstage. We're just going to throw you back there and you figure it out. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm back there with a light. I don't know if there's a wall back there. I got to figure that out. Okay, I found a wall the first night. Then I'm sneaking the seamless in. I'm taping it directly to the wall. And the portrait you'll never know. Right, exactly. So because of those things, you build this reputation where they're like, well, if we have to bet our money, we're going to go with you. So I literally got the call, and it was Jen Lasky, who was an amazing photo editor for the Hollywood Reporter and Billboard, no longer there. And I wanted to work with her forever because the images that they were putting out were just... So she calls me, and it was one of those random calls, and I looked at the number, and I'm like, I don't know this number, and I wasn't going to answer it. Answer it, and she's like, hi, it's Jen Lasky. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, from Hollywood Reporter. I said, no, I know who you are. Hi. She's like, yeah, so we have this celebrity we want you to shoot. It's a rush. It'll probably be like next week. Are you available? I'm like, I'm wherever you need me to be, I'm available.
Absolutely.
And she called me back, and she was like, yeah.
And they never tell you who the artist is right away.
They didn't tell me right away. No, and it's just like, no, sit there till we call you back. You can go through your head and try to figure out who it might be. So she calls me back, and she's like, so here's the thing. We want you to shoot Chris Rock. We saw that you shot him before. How was that experience? How do you get along with him? I said, great. I shot him at Hot. And then Yvonne Orji had opened for him at the Barclays, and I was working with her. So she brought me in. And what I try to do often, because I heard from certain celebrities that they get shot all the time and they never see the image. So what I do is I print like 16 by 20 like fine art prints, and I'll give it to them as a gift. Because because it's just and it's not like, you guys know, like when you have that moment and you go back and you look at your image, you're like, yo, I'm so grateful for this. Like that's the least I could do is give you a print.
Right, exactly.
And
that's your payment to them.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If any payment could be, it's a print, which so that has helped my relationships with people. I have a picture in Bobby Brown's foyer of him and his son. For me, Like, I don't
That's
need
a
anything
great. I hope
else.
people got that lesson. So if you walk away with nothing, that's an amazing gift and gem you just shared. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Very good.
So when I gave him the print, like it's just a good relationship. So they said, well, they know sometimes it can be difficult, and I don't think it's difficult. I think he's just New York, and if you show
That's
up in
it.
front of him without confidence, it's over. He's a
They're gonna eat
comedian,
that
like
shit up,
it's
right?
it's over. So she said, okay, cool. It's COVID. You got one assistant you can bring. Need your testing ASAP. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. My assistant comes. We load up the van. We go to his crib. They said we have 3 hours. You have 2 hours to set up, and you get an hour with him. I said, an hour? I'm like, I'm good. If I have an hour with him, that's more than enough time.
Right.
So, and they're like, when I said we need like 3 or 4 looks, I said I got it. I started doing. I had just met Sue Bryce, through Portrait Master. She brought me on, and we had this amazing.
I was going to ask about
time.
that too.
She brought me on. Actually, Katie sent my stuff to Sue. That's how Sue found out about me. So I mean, like I'm indebted to her for that, because that's a whole other thing about being
She's
a photographer.
amazing amongst herself. Yep.
Yeah.
So Sue and I hit it off. I did Portrait Masters, and as a gift, she gave me the Oliphant backdrop that Annie Leibovitz shot Michelle Obama on.
Bruh, hold up. Hold up. What?
Yeah. And I was floored, because you know how much an Oliphant backdrop.
Oh yeah,
costs.
come on, bro.
So
Right.
she was like, "No, you deserved it. Somebody gave me my first Oliphant," and I'm like, "What is happening here?"
So when you're gonna? So the question becomes now: when are you gonna give us ours? And we need two, because there's 2 of us.
I
You'll
will
take a warm one. I'll take a cool one. Just
you know what? I'm gonna see if we can do a group rate going there. Because I mean, listen, I would love to strictly shoot an Oliphant backdrop.
Oh man.
So when she gave me that, and they called me for this, I said, I'm definitely taking this to the shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And that ended up being the cover shot is in his backyard, the Oliphant backdrop set up. And we hit it off, man. It was great. We was talking about hip hop. He was so relaxed. By the time it was done, he was like, "Oh, it's over." And it was great, because that was also the time when everything was shifting and Black Lives Matter was happening.
right.
And a mutual colleague of mine was coming to shoot him for New York Times, Dana Scruggs. So I was just like, Dana, what's up? And it was just a great energy. Like, we were all there. I love Dana. I've told her a million times. Just like, I mean, I definitely yelled her name out in the middle of my shoot, like, Dana! And Chris is like,
another amazing artist, right?
yeah, because but I loved that moment. You know what I mean? Like, it was just perfect. And then her shots don't look anything like my shots, and we all shot them in the backyard. Didn't know what we were gonna run into when we got there, but it was great. I knew we got the images because he got comfortable. He decided to lift up his shirt for a second, and then he had these abs and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? He was like, oh, the pandemic. I was like, dog. I was like, all right.
Come on.
Let's just take a shot and let you see it. And I showed it to him, and he was like, oh, wait, okay, all right, cool. I'm like, no, because nobody's seen this. If you don't. Come on, like, you put in all that work, you need. I
have the same problem. I totally understand.
That's exactly the problem you have. So look. In the meantime, outside looking in, let me give you the thing. So I'm watching you. I see the Hollywood Reporter. I'm like, bruh, how you legendary already? Like, it's like, what do you mean? And I'm looking at the images, and I'm so proud. I'm like, yo, I know him. He's incredible. This is so dope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even call him Rage no more. Like, I know him as Rage. I know him as Karl. Who is Karl Ferguson? I don't know. I know Rage. He ain't even Rage no more. I gotta respect Karl. I gotta come to him.
You gotta put respect on his name.
Put respect on his name.
With a capital K.
Absolutely.
Listen, I appreciate it, man. And, just to piggyback off of the thing with the mentors, like, Like I'm supposed to do a talk tonight with another mentor who reached out to me on IG out of nowhere one day. Clay Patrick hit me and said something about one of my images, and I lost my mind. I was like, "Why are you hitting me in my DM? Like what?" And then we connected, and Clay Patrick is he taught at SVA, and now he's teaching at RIT, and it's like, I think because he is from the school of teaching the next generation, he's so giving. Yes. And I remember I was like, "Can we meet up for coffee?" And met up for coffee, and he was just like, "Man, your work's so great." It was the first thing he said to me is, "What can I do for you? What can I give you? Like what?" And I never, and I've had mentors, and that doesn't take anything away from them. It's just it blew me away because he didn't want it was his ego was so checked. He's such a great guy. So he has this thing with his class. He was like, "Do you mind speaking?" I was like, "Clay, I would absolutely speak because you're one of the most giving mentors that I've had. If I need an assistant in LA, he's like, "Oh, let me give a call here," and then I'll have like 2 assistants from his roster, or go to this rental house over there, tell him Clay sent you, and then it's just they're not big things, but they're the things that you need to get the quality in the spaces that you need them, and so. Every mentor has been different for different reasons. I've sat with Danny Clinch, had great conversations with him. Joe Pugliese is somebody that I look up to. One. He's another one that reached out to me in DM. We've had coffee. We've had great conversations, and I really love the community of photographers that I've met, and I love that there's really no ego involved, because I don't, because I get it, but at the end of the day, it's the subject that I'm shooting that I'm trying to capture. It's really not, because I'm not going to be here at a certain point. My images are going to be. So my thing is to do justice. I shot a picture of Nipsey Hussle. I have an issue with people passing away. I was Five Dog's last photo shoot. That image ended up on his single. It's the image they use now for his press. It's with his estate. But I was a Tribe Called Quest fanatic. I was like, "You can't pay me for this shoot." And he's like, "I said, you can't pay me for this shoot. Midnight Marauders, Lower End Theory, like you can't pay me monetarily for what your music has been for me." So I get to give that back. So my only job is to make sure that whoever sits in front of my camera, I did them justice in capturing who they are. That's it. That's it.
Who are you though? I don't know you, and I knew you a long time.
His skirt is wet now.
Shut up.
Oh nah.
Who are you?
It's still Albert's. Albert still gets those. That's still Albert's. Those
wow,
are all still Albert's.
Man, this is incredible. You have no idea. You gotta understand. I remember. I would never forget us figuring it out. To you doing all the celebrities in Hot 97. I remember saying, "Oh, this is dope. Like you killing it. Look incredible."
Mm-hmm.
Then vibe, and then it's like Hollywood, like bro, you have no. It's just like you seeing somebody grow, but I know you, and it's like it's crazy, and I'm watching the work.
But I could say the same. We had the conversations, and you were telling me about the fashion industry and how challenging that was, and I was like, listen, it's just a different beast in everything. Like I haven't stepped into the fashion world. I don't know that I'm built for what that is. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like no. It's a different beast.
Good. Stay where the fuck you are. Stay.
I think for me,
I'm trying to give it his ass.
Oh man.
For me, it was you're the person who always created opportunity. So it was like, oh, they didn't have a job there, but I made one. They didn't have this, but I made one. So it was always this thing of, damn, like what? How you moving? I didn't understand that. What you do? All right, cool. I'm about to go do the same thing.
But understand something that he's doing. He's doing what the photographers of old did.
Absolutely.
Old.
And that's what's happening. And
that's why your work looks that way.
And that's why your work looks that way. So I try to teach the young kids to think like old people. That's the best chance I can give them. And slow.
We call them my grandfather photographers.
We'll call them the grandfather photographers. And slow and steady gets the race. Take your time. learn your craft,
Yep.
study the olds.
Absolutely.
Always.
Because the kids today will have these conversations, and no offense to any of the younger photographers today, it's like, who do you look up to? I look up to Tyler Mitchell. Okay, that's a good start. I'm glad. I look at the Dana Scruggs. Okay, I'm glad you do that.
Now go back.
And then I go, what about Herb Ritz? Like who?
Who's that?
The who?
Yeah.
What
It's
about
crazy.
Bruce Weber? Who?
Crazy.
What about Annie L? Who? And it's like, okay, now we have to sit you down.
Yeah.
I don't want to study those old people. And it's like you try to talk to that, and it'd be so dismissive. And then Albert would say, you won't have the longevity.
No.
Photos, as he says, your photos will be light.
Yeah.
Listen,
We want to shoot heavy photos.
I'm you know what? I'm failing to mention someone else. Mark Seliger.
Another amazing photographer.
Mark is, for me, Mark is right below him for several reasons, but Mark's images time was put into them.
Time and love.
And that's the only thing that I try to pass on, if anything, because I'll sit with whoever. Like, I know David joking, but like, if you have my number and you text me and you're like, hey, I have this question about whatever, or I've read contracts for photographers, because if I don't let you know, you're gonna go out there and get taken advantage of, and now they think that that's what's gonna happen because they've done it to so many. So the information does nothing for me sitting here. I have to like pass that on. But
thank God.
That oh man, that's what's crazy is we do the same thing, and when we do it, people don't, especially black photographers, they looking like, are you trying to get one over on them? It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, that only works. Or you get this one. That only works for white people. It's like
no. But that's.
But
But I'm telling you, like, I'm at a point now where I get it, because the learning curve of the confidence for black photographers is different. It is different. Like, we walk in the room differently, because more than likely when we walk in the room, there's not a lot of us. So even then when we walk in and we're confident about it, there's still that barrier. But I mean, at this point,
I always tell them, we walk in the door with the deficit already.
Yeah, but at this point,
we have to get to zero so we can all start. And everybody looks at us, and nobody believes when I have these conversations. They don't look at us the same. They look at us as a deficit.
Carl,
already.
We walked in on the Netflix set, and they thought we was
No, they walked in on our set.
They walked in on our set. They thought we were delivering something.
Oh yeah. No.
We've been in situations where they like, so what do you do?
We're the help? Are you the grip? And like, no, we're the photographers.
I've had an assistant on my shoot that was actually one of Clay Patrick's students. He's white, and they came in and they walked straight to him and was like, "So what are you shooting today?" He's like, "I'm not the photographer," and I'm like.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like, because I get involved. Like, my assistants always have to yell at me to let them do things, because I'm so used to doing it myself. Like, Carl, we're moving the apple box. You don't have to just tell us.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
have, and I'm sure you have your rhythm. So your rhythm is part of that. So you're like, I almost need to set up to kind of like get my wheels moving.
To get the fit.
Yeah.
You have to touch the things. I understand.
Yeah, but I've had that happen, and it's kind of one of those things. And then the minute that they see your images, they're like, oh, and it just has to be that my work has to speak for itself. But I'm walking in these rooms now with a different air, unapologetic. Because I know that I'm doing a disservice, not just for me, for whoever comes behind me.
Everybody that looks like you, that comes behind you.
Absolutely.
Because it's not even me. Look, I just said to someone the other day, I am ecstatic. If I lost a gig and it was another black photographer, I don't even lose. Like, I'm so good. I'm so good. Because
the argument that we have is we don't want the handouts.
Yeah,
we just want the opportunities.
No.
Let us compete on a fair playing field.
On a fair.
Always interesting when you say you're a photographer and they're like, oh, okay. Well, let me show you my work.
And it glazes over.
Oh.
Because they expect me to shoot big greasy girls, big wood girls on hydrants or on motorcycles.
It's like, let me show you my work, and then that changes the conversation. The appreciation changes. The
respect changes. Because it's not even that the respect changes. Respect appears.
Yeah, because it wasn't there.
Because it
wasn't there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wasn't
So
their moment to go.
we go through these things and people just think that, oh, you know, it's in your mind. It's like, no, listen, I'm telling you, I promise you, they look at us completely different.
They do.
It's completely different. And then when we come on the set with professional or with us, we got our Timbs on and our hoodies, and they're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "All right, let me take this photo." And
I said, I'm not Karl Lagerfeld. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not.
I don't wear the ascots, and I don't hold
No.
my hand out to take the camera from you.
doing that.
We're not those people.
And we like to joke and we laugh and we have fun on set, and we like for people to be comfortable. We like people to be happy and remember stuff. We've been in situations where we was around helping another photographer like their shoot. And we were cool with talent. They didn't even know we was photographers. They just knew we were cool.
Right.
And it's, bruh, I'm so happy.
So let me ask you one question.
So happy. I'm so proud of you.
I'm
up.
proud of you, brother.
I'm sorry.
proud
No,
of you.
question for you.
No.
Last question before we let you go, because I don't want this to cut us off like they cut off Albert.
They hate that.
What is Karl Ferguson's legacy?
My
You got 30
legacy-
seconds.
The legacy is that I want my images to be honest. I want for you to see an image, and I think I've always shot for the idea of a gallery. I want you to stop and look and really take a moment, and I want the subject to have been vulnerable enough with me to have given me that. You know, like if I look at Golden Boy by Albert Watson, and I've been to this show, and I just had to stand there and look at it for a second. Like, I want that to be it. I want you to have captured the person as honest as possible, not a forced laugh, not any. I don't want to be an element in it. I want them to just give me a true portrait, and you to be able to look at that and say he really was loving to his subjects. That's it.
It's amazing the words that come out of your mouth, and I never mentored you, but you're talking like you're talking to me.
Oh, man, get out of here. Listen, man.
We want to thank you so much.
I was we was trying to figure out who to shoot, who to interview. I said, you gotta get Rage.
He says he was honestly saying, he said you may not like his work, he's kind of whack, but he's gonna give you a great show.
Never. You know me. Never.
No, not at all. I've seen you from when I met him, so I watched the show. So I watched it.
Look. Listen, when I tell you,
so we may not have met like this, but I've always been following. But I've always been following you.
Yeah, I think energy. I think energy is connected, and I think if you're a certain type of energy, you just connect to like-minded people. And we've been. I mean, Dae knows he can hit me at any point.
Anytime. That's
like
my boy.
At any point. Like it could be 2 a.m. He's like, "Yo, I got this question about it." It could hit me, and I would be like, "Yo, what's good? What's up?" It's
Rage is the reason for that I was working with Vibe. He's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I met him because of Vibe.
Yes.
Because he didn't know how to
see. I did not know any of that.
He didn't know how to price. That's how I met him.
So
you got a minute, so get it off.
So the Connect by Vixen was like, retouch, how much you charge? And I was like, I don't know. Hit him up. I was like, how much I charge for this? He's like, how much you want? I was like, if I knew this, I wouldn't be hitting you up.
And at that point, I was like, okay, I love this dude.
He was like,
bruh.
Like, why would you even ask me? I don't know.
It was the lesson to make him think.
So I was like, if I knew what I was worth and I knew how much it cost, I wouldn't be talking to you. And so that's how I met him. Because I was like, type of way.
So I met his ego first.
No, you didn't.
I met his ego first.
Listen,
the hardest question to give someone is, what is your worth?
Listen, I'm from Jersey. You can't talk to me no type of way.
Oh, Alicia's gonna love the fact that you said that. I'm from Jersey.
It's all about everybody can know their price, but nobody actually knows their worth.
Right.
And that's the hardest lesson I teach my brothers and sisters.
I'm still learning it.
Karl, you know your worth.
Hell yeah.
And listen, and I'm still learning. I think there's degrees to it. After you pass a certain notch, I'm still learning. We're all still learning our worth. Still learning. Yeah, man. It's
learning our worth.
Awesome.
So
man.
before we go, we have to do a screen. We have to do a screen grab, so we can have a nice photo for the thumbnail. So get your face on. Put your face on.
I gotta stop.
I always got my face.
I've been the entire time, man. You don't understand. This is so dope.
I do understand.
It's dope.
So we're gonna hold it for like 5 seconds. You ready?
All right.
He's gonna make this silly face he always make. Really?
You ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Why are we doing this so long?
And there you have it. I'm an old man, but I'm a clown, so.
Hey, listen, I'm not a young buck. I'm not a young buck.
Thank you for an amazing interview.
Of course. No, guys, thank you for having
For
me on.
a wonderful time, and God bless you. And I'm glad to say I now have a new friend.
Absolutely.
God bless you as well.
And if you need help in LA, let us know. We live here.
Oh, no, listen, I'm gonna get on my first pandemic flight soon, and it'll be to LA. So I will definitely be coming by to check you guys out. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Amen.
Carl, anything else you want to say before we let you go? Any final words?
What's up, Lee?
Just know that it's a privilege to be able to get paid for your perspective. Like,
bravo.
Think about that.
That's so dope.
Thank you so much. You have a good day. Say goodbye, Dave. Bye.